A poor little girl stepped onto stage, unaware that the millionaire judge sitting before her was the father who abandoned her as a baby. When she began to sing that one special song, his entire world stopped spinning. What unfolded next would shatter hearts and rebuild them in ways no one could have imagined. Rain fell steadily on the cracked sidewalk of downtown Nashville, each drop echoing against the cardboard box that 7-year-old Madison Rivers used as her makeshift stage. Her small voice rose above the sound of rushing cars and hurried footsteps, pure and haunting as it drifted through the gray afternoon air. She clutched a battered acoustic guitar nearly as big as herself, an instrument that had belonged to her mother once, back when Sarah Rivers still had dreams of her own. Passers-by dropped coins into the worn baseball cap at Madison's feet, some out of pity, others genuinely moved by the raw talent emanating from such a small frame. But Madison didn't sing for their sympathy. Every note, every carefully chosen word was sung for one reason: the stack of medical bills growing thicker each day on their kitchen table. She'd been here since dawn, and the autumn chill was seeping through her thin jacket. But she couldn't stop. Not when Mama needed her medicine. Not when the doctors kept using words like urgent and immediate treatment required. A well-dressed woman stopped, tears streaming down her cheeks as she listened. "Honey, how old are you?" she asked gently, placing a $20 bill in the cap. "7, ma'am," Madison replied, offering a smile that seemed too wise for her years. "My mama's real sick, and the doctors say she needs an operation. I'm going to sing until I have enough money to make her better." The woman's heart shattered. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Madison Rivers. And I'm going to be famous someday so I can take care of Mama forever." That's when Madison noticed the colorful flyer the woman had dropped. "America's Got Dreams. Open auditions next week. The biggest talent show in the country, with a grand prize of $1 million. As the woman walked away, Madison picked up the soggy paper, her eyes widening. $1 million. That was more money than she could ever earn singing on street corners. That was enough to save Mama. That evening, in their cramped one-bedroom apartment, Madison found her mother collapsed on the bathroom floor, pale and trembling. "Mama," she cried, helping Sarah back to bed with strength that shouldn't exist in such small arms. "I'm okay, baby girl," Sarah whispered, though they both knew it was a lie. The cancer was winning, and they were running out of time. Madison clutched the talent show flyer against her chest. "Mama, I'm going to audition for this show, and I'm going to win. Then you'll get the best doctors in the whole world." Sarah's eyes filled with tears as she looked at her daughter, this brave little girl who carried the weight of the world on her shoulders. "Madison, honey, you don't have to." "Yes, I do," Madison interrupted, her jaw set with fierce determination. "You always told me that music can heal anything. Now I'm going to prove it." That night, as Sarah slept fitfully beside her, Madison stared at the ceiling and made a promise. She would get on that stage. She would sing with everything in her heart. And somehow, someway, she would save the only person who had ever truly loved her. What she didn't know was that in a mansion across town, a man named Michael Sterling, judge, producer, and millionaire, was having the same recurring nightmare he'd had for 7 years. A nightmare about a song, a promise broken, and a choice that haunted him every single day. Madison spent the next 3 days practicing in their tiny apartment, her voice growing stronger despite the chaos surrounding her. Sarah's condition worsened daily, and the medical bills kept piling up like autumn leaves threatening to bury them alive. The morning of the audition, Madison counted their remaining money with the seriousness of an accountant. $43.16. Enough for bus fare to the audition center, but not enough for Sarah's next chemotherapy treatment. "You sure you want to do this, sweetheart?" Sarah asked, coughing violently. "It's a big city, and those judges can be mean on TV." Madison nodded firmly, shouldering the guitar case that was almost as big as she was. "I have to, Mama." The audition center buzzed with hundreds of hopefuls, each carrying their own dreams and desperation. Madison felt impossibly small among the adult contestants, many with professional equipment, makeup artists, and entourages of family members offering support. Contestant 247, a hairy production assistant, called out. Madison looked at her paper wristband. 247. her heart hammered against her ribs like a caged bird. "You got this, baby," Sarah whispered, kneeling down to Madison's level despite the pain it caused. "Remember what we practiced. Sing from your heart, not just your throat." In the judging room, 3 figures sat behind an imposing curved table. Jessica Walsh, the pop star known for her sharp critiques but hidden soft heart. Robert Martinez, the veteran music producer who discovered some of the biggest names in country music. And Michael Sterling, the youngest and wealthiest of 3, whose business empire extended far beyond entertainment. Michael adjusted his expensive watch, checking the time. He'd been judging for 6 hours straight, and most acts blurred together in monotonous parade of mediocrity and desperation. But something felt different about this next audition. A strange unease he couldn't explain, like the air before a thunderstorm. "What's the next act?" he asked the producer. 7-year-old girl, Madison Rivers, says she's singing to pay for her mother's medical treatment. Michael's expression softened slightly. He'd heard similar stories before, but children always affected him differently. Deep in his chest, something stirred, a familiar ache he'd learned to ignore over the years. The production assistant led Madison through the heavy doors. The auditorium felt enormous, the lights blindingly bright against her small frame. "Hello there," Jessica said warmly. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Madison Rivers," she replied, her voice stronger than her knees felt. "And why are you here today, Madison?" Robert asked. Madison took a deep breath. "My mama has cancer. She needs an operation that costs more money than we'll ever have. I sing on the street corners every day after school, but it's not enough. If I win this, I can save her life." The 3 judges exchanged glances, each one hit by the raw honesty in her words. Michael leaned forward, studying her face with growing unease. Something about her features nagged at him. The shape of her green eyes, the way she tilted her head when concentrating, the stubborn set of her jaw. "What are you going to sing for us?" he asked, his voice gentler than usual. Madison gripped her guitar tighter. "A song my mama taught me. It's about hope and never giving up on the people you love." She positioned herself center stage and closed her eyes, thinking of her mother's pale face that morning. When Madison opened her eyes again, they blazed with determination. She began to sing, and the first note cut through the air like silk, pure and haunting. Madison's voice carried a depth of emotion that shouldn't exist in someone so young. Pain, hope, love, and desperation, all woven together in perfect harmony. In the judges' seats, Michael Sterling's world tilted on its axis. The voice, the song, the way she closed her eyes when she reached the high notes. His hands began to tremble as memories crashed over him like a tsunami. 7 years ago, a different life. A woman named Elena, dark-haired and beautiful, singing the same song to their baby girl in nursery painted sunshine yellow. The same guitar, worn and loved, passed down through generations. Michael's breath caught in his throat. The little girl on stage had Elena's eyes, his own stubborn chin, his mother's delicate nose. The timeline matched perfectly. 7 years since he'd walked away from his family, choosing the promise of business success over the chaos of new fatherhood. As Madison sang the final note, the auditorium erupted in thunderous applause. Jessica wiped tears from her eyes. Robert nodded in approval. But Michael Sterling sat frozen, his world crumbling and rebuilding simultaneously. Madison looked directly at him during the applause, and for one heart-stopping moment, he saw Elena's face reflected in their daughter's features. Their daughter, the baby he'd abandoned, the child he'd convinced himself was better off without him. "That was absolutely beautiful," Jessica said. "You have something special." "Honey, incredible talent," Robert agreed. "You have a gift, young lady. A real gift." All eyes turned to Michael. Madison waited, her heart in her throat, everything depending on this moment. The silence stretched until it became uncomfortable. Michael opened his mouth to speak, but no words came. How do you tell a child you abandoned that she's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen? "That song, where'd you learn it?" he finally managed. Madison smiled hopefully. "It's my favorite. My mama says her mama used to sing it to her, and she sang it to me when I was little. She says music can heal anything, even broken hearts." The irony cut deep. Their daughter was trying to heal her mother, while unknowingly healing the father, who had broken them both. "We need to take a 5-minute break," Michael announced suddenly, standing so abruptly his chair scraped against the floor. In the hallway, Michael's assistant found him leaning against the wall, head in his hands. "Sir, are you all right?" "Get me everything on Madison Rivers," Michael whispered. "Background, family, medical records, everything. I don't care what it costs." 20 minutes later, Michael stared at the file that confirmed his worst fears and greatest hopes. Madison Rivers, born 7 years and 3 months ago to Elena Rivers, formerly Elena Sterling. Medical records showing Elena's current battle with stage 3 cancer. Financial records showing their desperate poverty. Elena had taken back her maiden name after the divorce, apparently using her middle name, Sarah, as her first name now. She'd never asked him for money, never tried to contact him. She'd simply disappeared, taking their daughter with her and building a new life from the ashes. And now their little girl was here, trying to save the mother he'd failed to love enough to stay for. His phone buzzed. A text from his private investigator. Elena Sarah Rivers admitted to Nashville General 3 hours ago. Critical condition. Doctors say days, maybe hours. Madison was here auditioning while her mother lay dying 3 miles away. When Michael returned to the judging panel, his face was composed, but his eyes held a new intensity. "Madison," he said carefully, "tell me about your mother." Madison's face lit up. "She's the best mama in the whole world. She taught me guitar when my fingers were so small I could barely hold a neck. She sings even when she's really sick. She used to be a singer too, before I was born. What's her name?" Michael asked, though he already knew. "Sarah Rivers. But she told me her stage name used to be Elena Sterling back when she performed in the big venues." The audition resumed. "It's a yes for me," Jessica announced. "You have a gift that can't be taught." "Yes for me as well," Robert added. All eyes turned to Michael. "Then it's yes for me too," he said. "You're going to the next round, Madison Rivers." Madison screamed with joy. But Michael pulled the show producer aside. "Find out what hospital Elena Rivers is in. Arrange for the best oncologist in Nashville to see her immediately. Money is no object, whatever it takes." Within an hour, the best oncology team in Nashville was rushing to Sarah's bedside. Dr. Elizabeth Chun, one of the country's leading cancer specialists, had been flown in on a private jet. "I don't understand," Sarah whispered weakly. "I can't afford this." "No mistake, ma'am," the nurse replied. "An anonymous benefactor has covered all your expenses. Full treatment, surgery, everything." Meanwhile, Michael Sterling sat in his car outside the hospital, watching through tinted windows. His hands gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles were white. Elena was somewhere in there, fighting for her life, and their daughter had no idea her father was finally trying to make things right. That night, Michael stood at his penthouse window, looking toward the hospital. For the first time in 7 years, he allowed himself to remember the good times. Elena laughing at his terrible jokes, singing while she cooked, the way her eyes lit up when she told him they were going to have a baby. "I'm sorry," he whispered to the Nashville skyline. "I'm so damn sorry." The next morning brought news that changed everything. Sarah's surgery had been successful, but she remained in critical condition. The anonymous benefactor had arranged for her to have a private room, round-the-clock nursing care, and access to experimental treatments. Madison sat beside her mother's bed, holding her pale hand. "The nurses say someone special is paying for all this," Madison whispered. "An angel, they called him. Do you think it's real angels, Mama?" "Sometimes," Sarah whispered, "angels look like regular people. They do good things without wanting credit." Over the next 2 weeks, Madison advanced through the competition rounds, eventually reaching the final 3 contestants. The entire country was talking about the little girl with the big voice and the bigger heart. Sarah was recovering slowly but steadily, strong enough now to attend Madison's final performances. The theme for the finale was songs that change your life. Madison had chosen the same song from her first audition. "It's the song that saved me," she explained to the cameras. "When my mama was sick and I was scared, I would sing this song and remember that there's always light, even in the darkest times." That evening, As Madison prepared for her final performance, Michael Sterling knocked on her dressing room door, his heart pounding. "Judge Sterling," Madison exclaimed, surprised. "I wanted to wish you luck," he said, kneeling down to her level, "and to tell you that I've never heard anyone sing with as much heart as you do. Whatever happens tonight, you've already won something more important than any prize." As Madison took the stage for her final performance, 3,000 people in the audience and millions watching at home held their breath. She looked so small under the bright lights, but when she opened her mouth to sing, her presence filled the entire auditorium. In the front row, Sarah cried openly. In the judges' seats, Michael gripped his chair, watching his daughter sing with everything she had. When the final note faded, the auditorium exploded in the loudest applause of the season. That, Michael said into his microphone, was the most beautiful thing I have ever heard in my life. Before the winner could be announced, something unprecedented happened. Michael Sterling stood up and asked for the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, "before we announce our winner tonight, I need to share something with all of you. 7 years ago, I made the biggest mistake of my life. I was young, ambitious, and stupid. I had a beautiful wife and a baby daughter, but I thought my career was more important. I walked away from them. I was wrong about everything." The audience murmured with confusion. Madison stood center stage, frozen. "Madison Rivers," Michael said, looking directly at his daughter, "you are the most talented, brave, and beautiful person I have ever met. You're also my daughter." The auditorium erupted in gasps. Madison stood frozen, tears filling her eyes. She looked toward her mother, who was crying openly now, nodding to confirm it was true. "My daddy?" Madison whispered. "You're really my daddy?" Michael stepped down and walked toward the stage. "Yes, sweetheart. And I know I have no right to ask for forgiveness, but I'm hoping maybe we can get to know each other. But you said yes to me in the audition. Did you know then? I suspected when I heard you sing. I used to sing that song to you when you were a baby, every night until you fell asleep." Madison began to cry. "Why did you leave us?" Michael climbed onto the stage and knelt before his daughter. "Because I was scared and selfish. I thought being a daddy would stop me from achieving my dreams. I didn't understand that you and your mama were the only dreams that really mattered. Mama got really sick," Madison said through tears, "and we didn't have money for doctors. I had to sing on the streets. I know, baby girl, and I'm so sorry I wasn't there. But I'm here now, and I'm never leaving again. Do you promise?" "I promise." "And Madison, the anonymous person who paid for your mama's treatment, that was me. The moment I realized who you were, I made sure she got the best care possible." Sarah had made her way onto stage. She looked at Michael with a mixture of anger, gratitude, and old love. "I'm sorry for everything," Michael said softly. "I know," she replied. "I can see it in your eyes." Madison looked between her parents. "Are we going to be a family now?" "We're going to try," Sarah said gently. "It won't be easy, and it won't happen overnight. But yes, we're going to try." Madison was officially declared the winner, but the $1 million prize seemed almost insignificant compared to what she had really won. She had her mother's health, her father's love, and a family that was finally complete. As confetti fell and the audience cheered, Michael held his daughter for the first time in 7 years. When she wrapped her small arms around his neck and whispered, "I love you, Daddy," he knew that some things never change. Love finds a way. Music heals all wounds. And sometimes the greatest prize isn't money or fame. It's coming home. 6 months later, Madison Rivers Sterling stood on the steps of Nashville Children's Hospital, holding a brand new guitar and wearing the biggest smile anyone had ever seen. Behind her stood her parents, together but taking things slow, and a crowd of reporters. "Today we're starting the Sunshine Foundation," Madison announced. "Every sick kid in this hospital gets free music lessons, and their families won't pay a penny. Music saved my mama's life and brought my daddy home. Now it's going to help other families too." Sarah stood beside her daughter, healthy and radiant. After months of successful treatment, the cancer was in remission. She squeezed Michael's hand, not romantically, but as partners raising their extraordinary daughter. "Are you proud of her?" A reporter asked Michael. "Proud doesn't begin to cover it." She's taught me what it means to use success for something bigger than yourself. That evening, the Sterling Rivers family gathered in the music room of their new house. Not Michael's mansion or their old apartment, but something in between, a place to build new memories. "Daddy," Madison said, "do you ever wonder what would have happened if you hadn't left us?" Michael considered carefully. "Sometimes. But maybe everything happened the way it was supposed to. Maybe you needed to be strong first, so you could help other people later. What about you, Mama? Do you forgive him?" Sarah looked at Michael. "Forgiveness isn't something that happens all at once. It's something you choose every day. And yes, I choose to forgive him. Not because what he did was okay, but because holding anger was hurting all of us." "I don't deserve either of you," Michael whispered. "No, you don't," Madison said with startling directness. "But that's not how love works. Love isn't about deserving. It's about choosing to see the good in people and helping them become better." Madison had been right all along. Music really could heal anything. And sometimes the greatest performances happen not on stage, but in quiet moments when a family chooses love over hurt, forgiveness over anger, and hope over fear. The song that brought them together would play in their hearts forever, a melody of love, loss, forgiveness, and the truth that broken things can be made stronger when pieced back together with hope.